right, boys, today, Ask Diaphone. We've been doing this weekly. I'm getting more and more questions, which is awesome. Thank you guys so much for helping out with the content. And we'll just kind of go through them. Maybe not as in-depth, but I'll still go through them as is. And of course, we'll keep the Zoomer edition. We're watching DreamHack on the side. Maybe I'll raise the chat a little bit. We'll have a pretty ghetto format today, but it is what it is. So, anyways, first question is from Lord Death. Hey Diaphone, I noticed that in matches, I tend to not really think about what I'm doing and just do the same stuff over and over. Example, I'm doing the overhead over and over and not really changing up, or I'm just not changing up. So what's a way to stop this, right? So I think the first thought, I mean, this is like very non-context, not very much context here. But to me, you have to have options to do, right? So for example, you keep doing the same overhead and over and over. You probably have like an idea of like a thing or two you could do more, right? You probably know like, let's talk about Slayer, right? Slayer's out and he has Dandy Step and you have 4 different follow-ups from the Dandy Step and the overhead's really abusable from that, right? And so the question becomes like, how do I incorporate the other follow-ups? And if you're playing against like a new player, I feel like the overheads might be the best follow-up because new players aren't gonna like try to block high. They're just gonna keep down backing or they're gonna keep mashing or something like that. And the overhead's pretty good against both of those things. But at the same time, like you need to have more options, right? So I think you probably have a really good understanding of why the overhead works, or like whatever option you're doing all the time, you have a pretty good understanding of like how it works and when to use it. And then you don't have a good understanding of the other options, right? So to me, it's like you have to better understand the other options. And then 2, it's like you have to do training room exercises, right? Like if you can't do it in match, because obviously you're stuck in match, not being able to do the right thing. I think what you have to do is like go into training mode and figure out all the times I'm doing this overhead, what else can I do? And then put yourself in situations where you very commonly, like let's say you go into a match and you notice that I'm doing the overhead in X and Y situation, recreate those situations in training mode, put the dummy on like random guard or something, and figure out all the different things that you can do, right? And figure out what kind of RPS there is, because you're probably doing the really strong option because it's good. And if it keeps working, you should keep doing it, right? That's kind of like one of the fundamental truths of fighting games. But at the same time, like if it's not working out, right, then you need to find different options. And the best way to like practice that is just go in the training room, recreate the same situation, and figure out what other options there are, and then practice your muscle memory so you don't autopilot the same thing over and over. All right, how to keep, and then of course, like try it out in match. Like let's say you practice a non-overhead idea in training mode and then go into online and then force yourself not to use the overhead and only just use the new options, right? And it might be hard at first. You might start losing more at first, but eventually like it'll start building the right habits and you'll kind of push past that barrier. All right, second question is from Dark. How to keep players mashing, keeping the opponent's skill. Low MR master Aki player. Oh, perfect. I'm having by the way, it's really helpful if you include like the character in game because I can give more specific examples, right? I'm having an extremely hard time keeping the opponent from mashing on plus frames or just jumping around like a rabbit. It seems that it's if I can't implement my layer 1, they won't stand still for 2 seconds. So I guess my first thought is you could just make your layer 1 something that forces them to sit still. So I'm just random Aki things I'm talking around, right? So let's say after forward heavy kick from Aki is a +2 on block move, which means that if you frame trap with something like 5 light punch or 2 light punch, you'll automatically frame trap. It doesn't matter what they do, it'll frame trap, right? And so to me, your layer 1 should be something that always frame traps them, right? If that's your main concern, and to me I think that should be your main concern, and for most players in most fighting games, like to me I like to structure my layer 1 to stop mashing because mashing is really annoying to deal with, right? And it's a really common option at like lower level. And so if you can like structure your layer 1 to like force them to stop mashing, and either one of 2 things will happen, right? 1, they'll stop mashing and then you can do what you're trying to do already. Or 2, they'll just keep getting hit and then you win the game, right? So Aki has a lot of those kind of situations where she's only like +1 or +2. If you try to go for like a walk-up throw, you might just get mashed out. Same thing like if you do fireball drive rush, right? It can be kind of hard to time the throw, but it's not as hard to time like a crouch medium kick or something like that, right? Because you don't need to delay as much, and also you have a lot of like memorization to do with like the fireball spacings and that sort of thing. But yeah, if they're just mashing, then yeah, tighten up, right? If they're jumping around like a rabbit is not a good strategy in Street Fighter, right? So let's say, for example, you throw a fireball and then they always jump, then like just hold your ground, right? I mean, that's kind of the RPS of neutral in Street Fighter is like, are they gonna jump, are they not? But if someone is very, very jump heavy, then just structure your gameplay to not lose to jumps. And like, you know, don't throw out heavy punches, don't throw out too many fireballs, just wait for your opponent's jumps and then punish them, right? So your main priority when you want an opponent to respect pressure, just make it so that always beats frame traps. Or just keep it like, I mean, it all depends on the game, but like in Street Fighter, it doesn't hurt to go for a shimmy, right? A shimmy is probably the least risky thing you can do because it doesn't lose to mashing, but doesn't beat it either. But it also beats like people mashing Dragon Punch and stuff. So if you start off with that, then like at least you won't lose momentum, and then you can see what your opponent wants to do, and then you can kind of go from there. So there's a bunch of different ways to kind of structure your offense like that, or structure your layer 1. But to me, structure your layer 1 so like it'll autopilot beat most players, and then go from there. All right, this is essay. What makes a good player? This is super generic. I actually might have a video coming out of this soon, so subscribe to the main channel. But I think a good player is someone that has one of two things, right? They have really good fundamentals, which means that they have all the skills, like for example, execution and reads and reactions and a good mentality to basically be able to play any fighting game at a good level. Or it's someone that is sunk a shit ton of hours into the game, and knows everything about the game, and you know, has all the tech that you need to win, right? And I think the best players are a combination of both of that, right? I think there's a lot of ways that you can that you can elaborate on that, but I have a video on that coming out pretty soon, so I guess wait for that. But I think it's a combination of both those things. All right, I suck at grabbing. I play Strive ABBA. I'm horrible at grabbing and struggle to find out when it's appropriate to grab. So this is really interesting. So grabbing between different fighting games is very different, right? So grabbing in Street Fighter 6, very, very, very strong because not much beats grabbing. You can't jump it, you can't mash it, you can backdash it if they miss time in the corner technically, but not really. So basically it's like only throw attack and something invincible, or something that goes airborne and can punish it. That's about it, right? Compared to Strive, where a lot of these options like backdashing, jump, mash, they all beat grab. So grab is inherently way riskier in Strive. And especially if you're new to the game, I actually recommend new players just don't grab at all. Like you could get to Celestial super easily without grabbing. Like if you told me get to Celestial without grabbing, that would be the easiest fucking challenge in the world, like straight up. Even a character that like just a strike throw, like Kai for example, like it would still be super easy because, you know, uncharged dust, RC, and people are gonna mash anyways, right? So to me, just don't grab until you get really good, and then people start blocking. But the thing is, like, especially with ABBA, you don't need the grab. Like a lot of characters in Strive just straight up don't need the grab. Like Bridget, for example, we got Bridget on the screen. She's a character that you don't really need to grab with. Your pressure is really strong. You have high-low anytime they block a roll. Why would you grab? Why would you take out? Why would you? How would I say, like, this character has a lot of strengths. Playing the risk reward game with grab is not one of them. So why would you do that? I feel like ABBA is kind of very similar, that she has really good offense when she gets in, And you know, grab is certainly an option. It definitely hedges against certain things like the flex shield and whatnot. But yeah, I think if you want to get more grabs, play a character like Giovanna that can force you to sit still longer than what Alba does, right? And it has the easier time to get in. But yeah, new player, you do not need to grab like anyone below Celestial to win. All right, this is from Moku Jin. Adjusting to a game that's just strike throw. Strive and going into Grand Blue, right? It's so funny, these are kind of related, right? Like as I was saying, in Strive, you don't really need the throw. In Grand Blue, you do, because you can just down back all day in Grand Blue, and if they don't throw you, there's nothing to worry about, right? I find that players who play really passively give me trouble. Think of a Lucilius who just backs off and throws fireballs and occasionally mixes and teleports to contest space. Or Cheetah, who just walks back and throws fireballs, and when I eventually walk to get them in the corner, I get DP'd or get back thrown into the corner, right? In my head, I understand that passive, I chalk this up to being playing faster. Yeah, so I think there's a few things. So the first thing that sticks out is that a passive player is not someone that DPs in the corner and back throws you into the corner, right? That being said, there's also like, you should almost never be getting back thrown. Like that's the thing that sticks out, is like you should almost never be getting back thrown into the corner in Grand Blue, because there's unlike Strive where you can do like backdash and then back throw, and it's like a legit option because backdashes have invul. In this game, like not really. And the only time you would like get back thrown into the corner is like if you walk up on them and you just sit there, which is like almost no reason to do that in this game. And so in a game like Grand Blue, strike throw is kind of disingenuous because strike is like 5 times stronger than throw, right? Especially in a game where you can do a safe jab or a safe jump that beats DP and mash and everything else and carries very, very, very little risk. You should be abusing that, right? And that way you'd have to worry about less about DP and getting back thrown in the corner. So if my first thought is like it sounds like you're getting them to the corner. That's the good thing. You did what you wanted to do. But then when you're getting to the corner, like, why the hell are you getting back thrown, right? And if you're worried about the DP, like, okay, that's not like that risk reward on that is like, okay, one, they get 1,000 damage and they're still like kind of cornered. I mean, some characters can like side swap and whatnot, or they literally die because you play Zeta. So yeah, my thought would be, what are you actually doing to do that, and like try to take less risk and let them like hang themselves, because both back throwing and DPing are really piss poor options, and there's some exploitation, right, that you can do there. And the thing was like Zeta, like you have pretty good tools in neutral, right? Like you have EX Spear, you have Air EX Spear, you have Fireball, so like neutral shouldn't be that bad. So like even if it takes them a while to get to the corner, it's not like you're like inherently losing that bad, because you're building meter and you have some of the most cracked ult skills in the game. So to me, it's like if you want to hedge against people doing stupid shit like back throw into the corner, just play it safer. All right, hey Diaphone, greetings from Hong Kong. Really enjoy your video and in-depth videos. And PS, I play Street Fighter. I play Manon in season 1. I'm getting their master in season 2. I am playing Jamie. Currently Diamond 5. Win rate against everyone is good except Marissa. And yeah, this is a pretty bad win rate against Marissa, right? So 15% win rate. To me, like when I look at this right here, this looks like you just don't have enough data, right? Like you might have just played 5 Marissa players that are fucking cracked that day, right? Like this doesn't really tell me that much about your actual win rate against them, because, or like that you actually know the matchup, because this isn't really like statistically significant, right? You might have just had a bad day. But that being said, let's say you really do have a Marissa issue. Yeah, I think try to play more. Try to like find Marissas to play online and like run long sets against them. And my second question is, am I too old for this game? I'm 39. Bro, Sako is like 49. And he's at DreamHack competing and taking games off some of the best. So, I definitely don't think you're too old to play. You're definitely not too old to get master. I think Daigo's 39 or something. I think Daigo might actually be 40 or something. And Tokido's like 39 or around there. Definitely not too old. Maybe too old to win the Millie, especially when you're just starting out now. But are you too old to make master? Hell no, right? You too old to have fun with this game? Hell no. So, yeah, best of luck. Daigo's 43. Yeah, that should tell you something. All right, Tubby says, hey Diaphone, bit of a different question. What local scenes are you aware of? Thankfully, you could literally just Google this. I Googled this. Super Combo GG, they have like a map. It's pretty cool. You can find different local places. And yeah, I definitely recommend going to your locals. I've learned a lot. I've met friends at locals. And I think part of what helped me become a strong player was, one, going to locals, and two, having something like very achievable to have as a goal, because I went to locals, right? So instead of becoming the best player, like my goal was to become the best player at my local, right? The second is way easier to achieve, and it also kind of like it's a lot more tangible, right? And I think locals helped me become a strong player because like I had like in-person people that like I really wanted to beat. Like it was more tangible, the people that I wanted to be and the people I wanted to prove. And also like I got good advice, and like when I first attended locals, I got my fucking ass kicked, and I'm like, damn, I want to beat these people that are kicking my ass, you know? So definitely would recommend local scene. And yeah, if you have a local scene near you, definitely try it out. All right, how to practice confirming with the raid abilities. Lappy, I found myself another autopiloting question. Damn, I really need to make a video on this, huh? I had a video like scripted and then I scrapped it because I don't know, I had too many videos going on. Maybe I'll bust it out. But yeah, I think really it comes down to the same thing I mentioned earlier, which is step one, figure out all the other shit you can do, which is accidentally using medium version of 236X on Yule instead of 236H for the wall bounce and further combo. Or I react too fast and end up pressing the wrong ability altogether. Holding down too long, so I end up with 22X instead of 236X. So yeah, I think slowing down inputs, okay, first of all, you're playing Grand Blue, you can use easy inputs. There's nothing to slow down, right? And actually, if you're canceling, there's literally no reason not to do easy inputs. So first of all, just use easy inputs. That's kind of a bitch out answer, right? So second of all, like, which you should use easy inputs, by the way. But assuming you're trying to improve at fighting games overall and not just like play Grand Blue, like go into training mode, put the dummy on random guard, and like try to confirm it in like a more friendlier situation, because you're probably just getting your mental stack overloaded, play it online, and there's a bunch of other factors other than like hit confirming a combo. So like work in training mode and then work it up against a computer, and then eventually you'll get in a match. But yeah, you need to make it easier to practice, because right now you probably just have too much shit you're trying to think about in match. All right, this is the last one. This is an essay. I really am not gonna read essays, but I'll read the first paragraph. I'm newerish to fighting games, but came from some shitty PvP games like League or Valorant. Okay, I used to play Dota. I totally understand. I actually came with the philosophy that if you can have a good mental in like Dota, it definitely translates over, right? Like if you can maintain your sanity while having 4 shit ass teammates, then like you get to rely on yourself in fighting games. To me, it's a lot easier to have a good mental in a fighting game, right? But anyways, mental's always been weak for me, but I've always wanted to get better at it. With fighting games, I don't get mad at the game or the opponent when I lose, but myself. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. There's nothing wrong with that. Keep berating myself, treating myself like my worst enemy. That's where it's bad, right? Only 150 hours into the game. Yeah, that's not very much. I feel absolutely and without a doubt worse than I have ever before. Okay, Okay, so the first step, I'm not gonna read this. It sounds like a part Doom post, right? But I think the first part is if you are playing a game and it does not make you feel good, bro, just don't play the game, right? In general, that's like if you're doing anything in life and you don't like it, try not to do it, right? Especially if it's like not, I'm not saying like go quit your job tomorrow, but I'm saying like in general, if there's something you don't like and it's not mandatory, maybe it's not for you, right? That being said, if it's something you want to learn and improve upon, because I think fighting games can be a good vehicle for getting a better mental game, right? You know, I think fighting games force you to kind of like look inward and realize that you're the reason that you're not getting better. And I think that's something that's really cool about fighting games, right? And you're right in the sense that like there's nothing actually wrong with blaming yourself for a loss, because you should be blaming yourself for a loss. The difficulty becomes in not having a friendly relationship with yourself. So I kind of like the advice that is, if someone was coaching you, right? So for example, like you had the best coach in the world, what would they tell you about your mental, right? They would probably be like, okay, you lost now, but here's what you need to do to get better. You're on the right track. You're doing better than before, etc., right? They're not gonna be like imagine if your coach for like a professional sport told you you're a piece of shit, you should never play this game again. Like your performance is gonna go down, right? And it's kind of like the same idea for fighting games. But aside from that, if you really want to improve mental, I think one, just, you know, rehash, like going into things with the right mindset. Obviously that's a lot harder, but I think just general stuff like getting your life together, reading shit about mentality online. Like there's a lot about sports psychology and the benefits that it has for professional athletes, meditation, etc., fitness. I think all of those help for mental. You just gotta figure out what the right solution is. I mean, to all I know, you have your life together. I'm not saying anything in particular, right? But to me, it's like a combination of all those things help you improve your mental, and you just gotta find where you're at in life and in mentality and figure out what's gonna work best for you. So, and yeah, there's a lot of things. I actually agree with Jacuzzi Boy here in the chat. Watching VODs helps a lot. So sometimes I go away from a game and I don't really have the blame myself. Sometimes I get like stuck and I feel like, oh, like this feels impossible. I don't know how to improve, right? Like I feel like I did everything right and I still lost. And then I look at the VOD and I'm like, well, fuck, I messed up so many things, right? Like there's so many different things I could have done to be better in this situation. Yeah, it's definitely okay to get smoked. I agree with that too, Lowry. It's like you have to get washed to get clean, and especially if you're only 150 hours into the game, compared to someone like myself who, between base Grand Blue and Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising, actually we can check real quick. I have 557 hours into the game, right? I think it's only natural that, not to mention my time with the original. So I think it's only natural, like you're probably gonna be losing to someone with a lot more experience, right? So you have to get washed to be clean, but also try to be kind to yourself where you can. Yeah, fighting games, I feel like in order to play fighting games, you definitely have, it will force you to have a good mental. And if you don't, like, you just won't get good, in my opinion. Or like you'll make things way harder on yourself. Anyways, that's it for Ask Diaphone. Ask more questions. I'll give you guys more, I'll exploit you guys more for content. Anyways, take care, y'all, and peace.